Hey everybody, it's Max, Chief Evangelist over here at Hapily. I want to show you how you can use Event Hapily to capture feedback about the events that you're hosting. So right now I'm looking at what we call the registrant object, which is an object that we create in Event Hapily directly inside your HubSpot CRM portal. Now, what the registrant object's purpose is it's sort of a junction object between contacts as well as the events and the sessions that they're actually signed up for. So what's really cool about this registrant object is that it tells the story about how somebody interacted with an event that you hosted. So everything from which event they signed up for, we can see that right here, as well as all the different sessions at that event they signed up for, if there are multiple sessions at that event. It'll also give you an idea of if they attended these sessions or not, right? So we can see here that I attended the DIY robot workshop, right? So you can see if someone just signed up for them, if they attended them, if they did not attend them, and it gives you the full picture of how that person experienced the event. Now, speaking of experience, one of the best ways that you can gauge someone's experience with an event is if you gather feedback. So right here, I'm showing you a really good additional use case of this registrant object, and that's how I'm using properties on the registrant object to get feedback about this person's experience with our event. So I have a couple different ones here: satisfaction rating and likelihood to recommend. This likelihood to recommend property is powering this NPS result. If you use Net Promoter to basically track how well people are experiencing your events and how likely they are to recommend those events to other folks, you can do that directly on the registrant object, and you can create forms that people can fill out that will update these properties very easily. Now, what I've done in order to capture this feedback is I've created a feedback form in HubSpot. Now, I'm not using feedback surveys in Service Hub. I'm simply using marketing forms to set this up. Now, the other thing that I've done is I've created a unique URL that you can send to somebody who's associated to this registrant object, right? So typically there's only one contact associated to a registrant object because the registrant object is created for that specific contact. And what we allow you to do here is build a workflow that can automatically generate a link that will send someone to this feedback form that you create. So right here, when I click this link, right, I have this record ID that's getting populated by the actual record ID of the registrant object itself. In practice, I would hide this field, but just to demonstrate how this actually works, I'm showing you that it automatically injects that record property in there. Now, all people have to do when they get this form, notice that they don't have to put an email address in or anything like that. However, you could add that if you wanted to. All they got to do is select their answer. So I'm going to say I'm very satisfied, and then I'm extremely likely to recommend this to a friend or colleague. So once they submit on the feedback form, if you come back into the registrant object and just hit refresh, what you'll notice is the event feedback properties are already populated, right? So if I go to my event feedback tab, I can see that this person was very satisfied and they're very likely to recommend this to someone. And then I have another workflow that's actually setting their NPS result to promoter based on the score that they gave me for likelihood to recommend. Now, the reason it's such an awesome method to use the registrant object to capture feedback about the event is you got to remember, registrant objects represent an instance of someone attending an event and tells the entire story. Part of that story is the feedback that they give you on the event. You also got to remember that these registrant objects are directly associated to the event objects that we build for you. And so what that allows you to do is build some really awesome single object reports that show you the result of the feedback surveys that you're sending to all your different registrants, right? So here, I'm just using a pie chart to break down the satisfaction question that I asked. And then down here, I have some custom properties I built on the event record that's showing how many NPS promoters, how many passives, and how many detractors that I have. And then I'm using a calculated field here to determine a real NPS score, right? It's just another one of the many things that you can do with Event Hapily when you utilize HubSpot's vast customization to be able to manage your virtual, in-person, and hybrid events all directly on HubSpot.